You ready to go, Doug? No. No? Okay.
What? We'll get done by, we can do it. We can make it quick. Yeah.
The air conditioning is a lot better down here.
It's amazing. It's April 13th and we need air conditioning. Not complaining, but.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Chuck McLean. I'm the Chief Public Utility Law Judge here at the Maryland Public Service Commission. It's April 13th, 2023. We're here in case number 9500Q, which is captioned in the matter of the continuing investigation of the purchase gas adjustment charges of Baltimore Gas and Electric Company. First, I appreciate everyone's flexibility in moving down from 19. I may ask for some further flexibility. I guess there may be something at 10:30, so I don't know if we'll get bumped again. So we may have to take a break in between. I don't want to. With that said, I don't want to rush anyone. You know, if we go over, we have to take another break. You know, so be it. So with that, why don't we start with appearances? We can start with the company.
Good morning, Your Honor. Beverly Sikora on behalf of BGE.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Sammartino on behalf of Office of People's Counsel.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Dean on behalf of the staff of the Maryland Public Service Commission.
Good morning, and I would note it's nice to be back in person. I think it's been several years since we've actually seen one another. So, Ms. Sikora.
Yes, Your Honor, I have one preliminary matter. On April 7th of this year, BGE filed the certificate of publication showing that the advertisement for the hearing was published in the Baltimore Sun on March 20th. The notice or the certificate of publication filing also provided a screenshot of BGE's homepage showing that we did also put a notice there. That was posted starting on St. Patrick's Day, so I'm sure a lot of people paid attention to that. So I would ask that filing be marked as BG Exhibit 1 and moved into...
It'll be so marked. Any objections?
No objection.
All right, number 1 is admitted.
BG would like to call its first witness to the stand, and that would be Mr. John L. Hayes.
Raise your right hand. Get close to the mic. State your name.
John Hayes.
Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence the perjury the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your full name.
John L. Hayes.
Spell your full name.
John. L is the middle initial, and Hays.
Give me your business address.
My business address is Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, 2 Center Plaza, 110 West Fayette Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21201.
Thank you very much. Stay with us.
Good morning, Mr. Hayes.
Good morning.
Could you also please state your position for the record?
I am a principal rate analyst in BGE's Regulatory Strategy and Revenue Policy Department.
Excellent. Do you have before you a document entitled The Direct Testimony of John L. Hayes, dated January 31st, 2003, consisting of 20 pages and 9 exhibits?
I do.
Do you also have before you a document entitled The Rebuttal Testimony of John L. Hayes, dated April 6, 2023, consisting of 5 pages and no exhibits?
I do.
Were these documents prepared by you or under your direction and supervision?
Yes, they were.
Do you have any changes or corrections that you need to make to these documents?
I have one change to my direct testimony. It is on page 9 of my direct testimony. It's on page 9, line 13, where it references November 2022. That should be November 2021.
Thank you.
And that's the only correction I have.
Thank you. If I were to ask you the same questions in these documents today under oath, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they were.
At this time, I'd ask that the direct testimony of Mr. Hayes be marked as BG Exhibit 2.
It'll be so marked.
Okay, and the rebuttal testimony be marked as BG Exhibit 3.
It'll be so marked.
And I ask that both BG Exhibits 2 and 3 be entered into the record.
All right, any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
2 and 3 are admitted.
You know, as I indicated, I do have a few initial questions.
Please.
Just following up. Mr. Hayes, in your rebuttal testimony, you indicate that BGE would, was proposing a triggering mechanism to deal with the Texas Gas SL issue, the note, or the indices not being published. Is that correct?
Correct.
And can you just explain what that triggering mechanism, how that was going to work?
So there was a two-part triggering mechanism. Either one would trigger the switch from the inside FERC first of month pricing from Texas Gas Zone L to Texas Gas Zone 1. The first mechanism would be if Texas Gas Zone SL did not publish for 3 consecutive months going forward. The second mechanism would be if the Texas Gas Zone SL price point and inside FERC did not publish for at least 3 out of the 6 months on a rolling basis.
And Mr. Hayes, why did you propose this triggering mechanism?
We had seen that for 11 of the last 12 months, beginning April of 2022 through February of 2023, Inside FERC first of month did not publish a price for Texas Gas Zone SL. In my direct testimony, I had proposed that if it had come through 12 months worth, meaning through March of 2023, we should just switch to Texas Gas Zone 1. However, in March of 2023, Texas Gas Zone SL did publish, albeit it was just one purchase or one transaction at this point. However, it's given that 11 out of the 12 months in that preceding period that it didn't publish at all, in all likelihood, that was a dying basin. And so the proposal here was to have something so that we wouldn't have to wait to next year's testimony. We can all agree that, hey, once Texas Gas Zone L hit one of these two trigger mechanisms, we would simply make the switch from Texas Gas Zone SL to Texas Gas Zone 1.
Mr. Hayes, even though you propose this triggering mechanism, would you be opposed to just going ahead and making the change that you had originally proposed to just go ahead from SL to 1 without waiting for the triggering mechanism to be used?
I'm not opposed to that at all. In fact, it seems like the data appears as if that Texas Gas Zone L is going to be sporadic or spotty. So I would be in favor of going forward now and not waiting for the trigger mechanisms of switching the pricing point from Texas Gas Zone SL to Texas Gas Zone 1.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness. He's available for cross-examination.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. San Martino?
Thank you, Honor. I just have one brief question. Mr. Hayes, so this switch from Zone SL to Zone 1, could you explain if that would have a material impact on the calculation of the Citygate Index?
So I discussed that in my direct testimony. If you give me a second. Okay, it is the question starts at the bottom of page 11. What is the Citygate Index impact of replacing the Zone SL, Texas Gas Zone SL basin with the Texas Gas Zone 1 basin? Just straight up, and the answer is on the top of page 12 of my direct testimony. Again, using the 12 months of data through October 2022, it's a very de minimis impact. It's basically a 0.002 increase to the Citygate Index of that replacement. So very, very, very minor.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
From OPC's question, is that also in your rebuttal testimony on page 4, a similar discussion?
Could you point to the, perhaps the line number?
Is that
you're
at
referencing?
line 16?
That question actually has to do with how the Texas Gas Zone SL price is used within the city gate calculation. Basically, it's used in the calculation of the basis adjustment for our market area basins, which are in the city gate index of Eastern Gas Appalachia and the Transco Leidy line. So that just discusses in a little bit more detail how it's specifically used within the calculation.
Thank you. What causes a Texas gas zone price to be published?
Basically, if there are transactions reported to Platts inside FERC for those pricing points.
Are all contracts published in FERC, or just the ones that are submitted?
I am not 100% sure. My understanding, again, is that it's those that are submitted.
Thank you. Staff has no further questions.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sikora?
No further questions,
Okay.
no.
Good morning, Mr. Hayes. A quick question. You referenced the Zone SL as a dying basin. What do you mean by that, sir?
Basically, it hasn't been published for 11 out of the 12 months that I had referenced, and while it has been published in March, there was only one transaction that was published in there. Will that continue going forward, or will it go back in the future to not having any transactions at that point, given that there was an 11-month period with no transactions published?
Okay. All right. So it's just maybe that basin's going by the wayside. Things are drying up,
Or perhaps transactions are made at another basin.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions based on mine? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Hayes. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
BGE would next call Ms. Gina M. Calvert to the stand.
Hi.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm on the memories of perjury the statements made this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but
I do.
the truth? State your full name.
Gina M. Calvert.
Spell your full name.
First name Gina, initial M, last name Calvert.
Give me your business address.
Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, 1699 Leadenhall, Leadenhall Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21230.
Ms. Calvert, could you also please state your position for the record?
Senior Manager of Gas Supply and Transportation.
Thank you. Ms. Calvert, do you have before you a document entitled The Direct Testimony of Gina M. Calvert dated January 31st, 2023, consisting of 9 pages and 3 exhibits?
I do.
Was this document prepared by you or under your direction and supervision?
Yes, it was.
Do you have any changes or corrections that you need to make to this document?
Yes, I have one edit. On page 5, line 3, it says all 5 months, and it should be replaced with 4 of 5 months. And this was also brought up in or addressed in staff data request 1-5.
Thank you.
So just read that line. Expensive in 4 of.
Oh, turn your mic on.
So it should read expensive in 4 of 5 months?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
If I were to ask you the same questions in this document today under oath, would your answers be the same as written?
Yes, they would.
At this time, I'd ask that the direct testimony of Gina M. Calvert be marked as BG Exhibit 4
It'll be so marked.
and ask that it now be moved into the record.
Any objections?
None, Your Honor.
None, Your Honor.
4 is admitted.
Okay. Ms. Calvert is available for questions.
Mr. San Martino?
I have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Dean?
Good morning. Thank you for testifying. I have no questions for you. Thank you.
The suspense.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Calvert.
Good morning.
On the issue of the fixed prices that was referenced by Ms. Coates, and I know in your testimony and your predecessor's testimony, you've always said something to the effect that these purchases are not in the best interests of customers in the long term. Are we to a point where that provision of the MBR mechanism should be reviewed?
I think BG is open to discussing that prior to the next filing.
Okay. Fair enough. Also, one other question. You noted that BGE was the successful bidder for 1,600 decatherms per day in firm capacity, and that it was a 10-year contract.
Yes.
Is that an abnormally longer contract or
No.
compared?
No, it's relatively short. I mean,
Oh,
we
okay.
can see contracts that go up to 20 years, so
Okay.
that is a relatively normal or I would say short.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, Ms. Sikora, based on mine?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Dean? Thank you very much, Ms. Calvert.
Thank you.
I think this is the first time I've actually seen you in person, so it's good to see you. Ms. Sikora, anything else, ma'am?
Nope. BGE rest.
All right, Mr. San Martino.
OPC has no witnesses.
Okay.
I would like to note just on the record that we would be open to reviewing the fixed price procurement
All right,
mechanism.
all right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff has two witnesses. I'd like to call to the stand Mr. Mark Riley.
All right.
You solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury, the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your full name,
Mark Riley,
spell your full name,
Markrielly,
and your business address.
6 St. Paul Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Mr. Riley, what is your position at the Public Service Commission?
I'm a public utility auditor.
Thank you. Do you have before you a document entitled Direct Testimony and Exhibits of Mark Riley, dated March 17, 2023, consisting of 10 pages and exhibits?
Yes,
Was this document prepared by you or under your supervision?
yes.
Do you have any changes or corrections to this document?
No.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark this document as Staff Exhibit Number 1 and move it into the administrative record.
All right. It'll be so marked. Any objections? Hearing none, it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Riley, do you have any comments to add to your testimony as a result of any of the testimony that you've heard this morning?
My only comment is on one of my exhibits. On the exhibit MR3 shows during the past 3 years, the flowing gas price, the city gate price was always lower than the fixed price, except for February 22. And the actual price of flowing gas in column A is always lower than the fixed price of gas.
Thank you. With that addition, does this constitute your testimony in this proceeding?
Yes.
Your Honor, the staff witness is available for cross-examination.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sikora?
No questions.
Mr. San Martino?
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Riley. Appreciate your
Okay.
time.
Your Honor, staff would like to call its second witness, Ms. Pamela Coates.
All right.
Pamela Coates. Pamela, Pamela, Coates, Coates.
Give me your business address.
6 St. Paul Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Thank you very much. You're with me.
Good morning, Ms. Coates.
Good morning.
Could you state your position here at the commission?
Assistant Director, Telecom, Gas, and Water Division.
Thank you. Do you have before you a document entitled The Direct Testimony and Exhibits of Pamela Coates dated March 17, 2023, consisting of 13 pages and attachments?
I do.
Was this document prepared by you or under your supervision?
It was.
Do you have any corrections or changes to this document?
I do. On page 7, lines 23 and 24, it currently reads, BGE holds primary capacity at that basin and therefore uses those prices to calculate the city gate index. That is incorrect. BGE used to hold that capacity, but it does not currently, so we need to strike the words from the word holds through the words therefore. If we strike all that, the sentence will read, BGE uses those prices to calculate the city gate index, which is true.
Thank you. Do you also have a correction on page 1 of your testimony at line 4 concerning your position?
Well, I'll have to turn to the judge on that because my testimony is dated March 17th, and that was my position on March 17th. What do you say, sir?
Why don't you just answer Mr. Dean's question? It's fine. You can give us your title as it is now, ma'am.
My title as it is now then, would have to be changed to Assistant Director, Telecom, Gas, and Water Division.
Thank you. Do you have any comments regarding the testimony of the other witnesses this morning?
Yes, I do. I would also, staff would support the idea of discussing between now and next year the fixed price contracts. I think that would be a wise thing to do.
Thank you. And with this addition, does this document constitute your testimony in this proceeding?
Actually, I have another comment.
Oh.
It was brought up that we could just switch from Texas Gas Zone SL to Texas Gas Zone 1 right now, and staff would also support that. It would eliminate uncertainty, and it would eliminate the problem of, well, okay, they publish this month, so we use SL. They don't publish next month, so we use 1. That just seems absurd. And so I think that would be a good move to just make the switch right now.
Thank you. And with that additional comment, does this document constitute your testimony in this proceeding?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. The witness is available for cross-examination.
All right. Do we admit her testimony?
Oh, thank you,
Okay,
Your Honor.
I'll just-
I'd like to mark her testimony as
Right.
Staff Exhibit Number 2 and move
Right.
it into the administrative record.
It will be so marked. And any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted. Ms. Sikora?
No questions, but just congratulate Ms. Coates on her promotion.
Thank you.
Mr. San Martino?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Good morning, Dr. Coates, and congratulations as well.
Thank you.
I had one quick question, and I don't know if this was an error or not. On page 7 of your testimony, line 18, you referred to 9,300 decatherms a day. I was wondering if that should be 1,600?
If Miss Calvert and Mr. Hayes said 1,600, then it should be 1,600.
Okay.
My testimony should agree with theirs because
Okay.
I got my number from them.
Okay. All right, no problem. I'll make that change then.
Thank you.
I don't think I have any other questions based on your testimony and your agreement with the company. So I think that's all I have. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Coates based on mine?
No questions, Your
All
Honor.
right. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Coates.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else today?
Your Honor, yeah,
Please.
OPC would also like to note that we don't have any objection to the permanent switch from Zone SL to Zone 1.
All right. Excellent. All right. Anything else?
Your Honor, just
Yes, ma'am.
clarify that we'll make that change once the order in this case becomes final. We'll start doing that the next
Yeah,
month.
yep, I think that would be appropriate. All right. Great. Well, thank you very much for coming out today. Appreciate the flexibility, and we'll see you all again next year.
Yep,
All right. We're off the record.
thank you. Excellent gliding back into in-person, like, it was a good, like, I was worried that, like, our first, oh,